So, you're at the light table and your skins keep getting downgraded. You keep getting told that it's picks and it's pits and it's pox and it's worm and it's germ, but what does this really mean? Now that you've completed my mini course on crocodilian skin in 3D, you know that there are multiple ways that picks can occur or pits can occur. So what do you need to go looking for? Is it West Nile virus? Is it stomatophilus? Is it herpes virus? Is it pox virus? Is it something new? Is it something unknown? Is it some other type of bacteria? Well, one of the ways that we can begin to develop the clues behind this investigation is to do histology. So as you know, with histology, that's looking at the skin in the third dimension. And from this, we can look at how much collagen has been displaced from an inflammatory response. We can see whether there's a restructuring of the collagen that's going on. We can even see whether the damage has occurred from the outside in or whether it's something that's coming from the inside out, indicating more of a systemic infection. So in this short video, we're going to show you how to sample and document skin lesions that you can then send to us at the Centre for Crocodile Research to begin this investigative process for you. Before you start, you will need the following equipment: light table or a light box, camera to document the lesion both on and off the light table, a pencil. This will be used to mark out the lesion that you would like to look at. Pencil stays on in formalin, so don't use any other inks as they will dissolve and we won't be able to see them at the lab stage. A ruler, a scalpel blade and handle or a sharp knife. You don't have to have a scalpel blade itself. A cutting board, personal protective equipment including gloves, laboratory coat and eye protection, 10% formalin and a sealable container which is large enough to hold at least 10 times the volume of formalin as the skin volume, permanent marker to label the container, as well as paperwork to document the skin. Also, you'll need to have on hand for storage and shipment 70% ethanol, paper towel, Ziploc bags, the sample submission paperwork, CITES permits and shipping documentation such as the manufacturer's declaration. Before we move forward, there are some work health and safety items that we need to discuss. You'll be using sharp objects, so care is required. Skins can be slippery when being cut, so ensure you do it on a cutting board or something similar to gain a bit of traction. Also, skins can be tough to cut and some force may be required. Ensure your hands are not positioned in the direction of the blade and do not cut towards your body. Also, try to cut between the scales where the skin is easier to cut rather than through the scale if possible. If using disposable blades, please use a sharps container when disposing to ensure the safety of the waste handlers. Formalin is a hazardous substance and extreme care must be taken when handling this reagent. The MSDS states that it is harmful if swallowed, causes severe skin burns and eye damage, may cause an allergic skin reaction, is toxic if inhaled, may cause respiratory irritation, may cause drowsiness or dizziness. It is suspected of causing genetic defects and may cause cancer. It causes damage to organs and causes damage to organs through prolonged or repeat exposure. To minimize risks, personal protective equipment should be worn, including gloves, eye protection, lab coat and closed shoes. Only use formalin in a well-ventilated area and away from ignition sources. Store in containers with tightly closed lids. And please refer to the MSDS to understand all emergency responses just in case they're required, as well as disposal requirements. Ethanol can cause serious eye irritation and is a highly flammable substance. As with formalin, to minimize these risks, personal protective equipment should be worn, including gloves, eye protection, lab coat and closed shoes. Use in a well-ventilated area that is away from all open flames, hot surfaces and sources of ignition. Please refer to the MSDS to understand all emergency responses just in case they are required, as well as disposal requirements. We are going to use this lesion as an example. The skin may either be raw or salted. If salted, try to rinse as much salt off as possible beforehand. First, we need to document the lesion both on and off the light table. It is helpful to take pictures with a ruler underneath. This will help the lab technicians navigate exactly where the lesion is in case any clarity is lost while it is fixing in formalin. Sometimes the lucency of a lesion can become fainter during fixing, but if we have a photo with a ruler, we can navigate to ensure we are sectioning in the correct place. The first photo should be taken with the light box off, and the next photo with the light box on. With a pencil, please mark to show where the lesion, or in this case, the lesions are. It is really important that you use pencil and not any other inks or markers, as they will come off in the formalin. It is also a good idea to write the sample identification on the scale. We are going to call this sample CN001. After this, please take another photo. At this point, we can fill out the histology sample collection sheet. The sample identification is for your purposes, and we will refer to this in our report. For example, we are going to label this CN001, but the identifier is up to what makes sense for your records. You can mark where the scale is from. For example, this scale is from 10 down, 6 right, but this is optional. These next 3 columns are really a check to ensure the lesions have been documented appropriately for the lab technicians to ensure we are sectioning the correct lesion. Later, you will need to label the photos as A, B, and C accordingly, and then email them to us. In the final column, please provide any description for your records as well as for reporting purposes. For example, this lesion was 2 by 1 millimeter round lesions with normal keratin and no contour. Transfer the skin to a cutting board or similar safe surface. Ensuring that your hands and body are not in the direction of cutting, cut the lesion, leaving a 1 scale margin on each side. Make sure to dispose of any sharps appropriately. Placing the skin sample into a 10% formalin solution is referred to as fixing the skin. Before handling formalin, make sure that you put on your personal protective equipment and work in a well-ventilated area away from ignition sources. You will need a sealable container that can hold at least 10 times the volume of the skin in formalin. This is really important. If the skin does not fix properly, it will begin to decompose and the definition of the skin structures will be lost. Label both the lid and vessel with the sample ID. Fill with 10 times the volume of 10% formalin and place the skin sample inside for a minimum of 48 hours and a maximum of 72 hours. In other words, 2 to 3 days. The reason to remove the skin before 72 hours is that formalin can degrade some of the features of the skin, for example, antibodies and enzymes. This might be important if you want to ask for further tests later on, such as immunohistochemistry. To finalise the lesion collation, we need to label the photos. The easiest way to do this is with the scale ID and a suffix of either A for the photo taken with no light table, B for the photo taken with the light table on, or C for the photo taken with the pencil marks indicating the lesion. Please email these photos to us along with your submission form prior to sending the samples. After the 48 to 72 hours, the samples need to be removed from the formalin and placed into 70% ethanol or even 70% methylated spirits, which is often more easily available at supermarkets and hardwares. For short-term storage and shipping within the week, dampen some paper towel and wrap the fixed skin sample. Label a Ziploc bag with the sample ID and seal the wrap sample inside. If you want to collate a few more samples over a longer period of time, it is best to store each sample in a labelled pot of 70% ethanol before later wrapping in paper towel to send to the lab. A minimum batch size of 10 samples is required, but you can submit as many samples as you want to over that limit. Once you have collated all the samples you want to submit, please email the completed sample submission form and photos to the Centre for Crocodile Research. If the file size is too large to send, we can set up a Dropbox link for you to transfer the files into. Just like with skin shipments, CITES permits will be required. If you have a multi-consignment permit, you can add skin sections to the list of products being exported when you renew your permit. The Centre for Crocodile Research will also need to apply for an import permit. To do this, we also require a copy of your export permit before we can apply. We will also need to know exactly how many samples you want to submit. This number cannot deviate once issued on our import permit. In Australia, this can take up to 40 business days or 8 weeks, so giving us as much notice of the number of samples that are to be submitted will help ensure a speedier timeframe. So the earlier you can get this documentation to us, the sooner we can begin the application process. Once the CITES permits have been obtained and the samples collated, you are ready to ship. As the samples are preserved, they can be shipped at room temperature. A manufacturer's declaration will be provided for you to complete. This is just your company details and check that the description of the product is correct. Ensure that a copy of this, the CITES import and export permits, as well as the sample list is included in the shipment. Lodge the shipment with your preferred freight logistics company. If you need assistance with a freight handler, please let us know. Our preferred freight handler is LabCabs International. We cannot recommend them high enough for scientific samples and the personalised service of getting samples from door to door. Histology is just one of the clues we can use to find out what's afflicting your crocodilian skins. From here, we can help you formulate the most effective and efficient strategies to help improve your skin acceptance rates and ultimately enhance your profitability. But if you need help, please ask. Send us a photo of the types of lesions that are affecting your profitability the most, and we can help formulate the best way forward with you.